Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'm sure that I'm audible and Shafkat is there. Shafkat, you are requested to unmute yourself so that we may proceed further from here.
Sir, am I
Okay.
audible?
Yes, Shafkat, you are audible. So,
Okay,
Shafkat,
sir.
a moment ago we were talking about the types of novels. I'm sure that you have the answer.
Sir, major types of novel like epistolary novels, we can say
Mm-hmm.
experimental novels, gothic
Mm-hmm.
novel, historical novels, and novel of manners, we can say, like novel of manners of Jane
Okay.
Austen.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, they are. These are the types of novels. Gentlemen, when we say historical novel, picaresque novel, sentimental novel, gothic, psychological, manners, epistolary, pastoral, cult, detective, mystery, thriller, western, fantasy, there are a lot many other types of novels. So, what is the favorite type of your novel that you have covered and you want to proceed further with today's interview? Have you read psychological novels?
Sir, I have read Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. That is
Fair enough.
called to be psychological
Gentlemen,
novel.
what do you understand by the term picaresque novel? What is picaresque novel?
Sir, Picaresque novel is a novel about a rogue or a ruffian whose adventures are told in a novel. And at that time, when like was written at the start of the 18th century, at the end of 18th century, Picaresque novels were very popular.
Okay, a moment ago you have
I can
mentioned the
give,
name of George Eliot's novel, The Mill on the Floss.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is our mill on the floss or the mill on the floss or simply mill on the floss.
The mill, the mill on the floss.
Very good. George Eliot. What was the real name of George Eliot?
Sir, the real name of George Eliot was Mary Ann Evans. She was a
Why the
woman.
writers they have the pen names after all? What is the need of having pen name?
Sir, at that time, like in 18th century or 16th century, 17th century, women were not considered to be a good writers. So they use
Mhm.
aliases and different names like men's name or other names to publish their works. And that's how they got famous because women were not as equal to men at that time in that society.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, what do you know about linguistics? What is the definition of linguistics?
Sir, linguistic is the scientific study of language. We
What
can
is the
say
definition of the literature?
literature. Sir, literature is the study of life. It gives the impression or it represents life into the words.
Okay, I need some basic information about this literary movement, Dadaism. What do you know of Dadaism?
Sorry, sir, I haven't heard about. What do you say? Can you repeat that? Dead?
Dadaism, Dadism, Dadaism.
Sir, I think it was anti-war movement. Deadism, like we can say,
Yeah, fair
it
enough.
was against
Yes, that's right.
senseless
Okay,
brutality
what do you know
in that.
about magical realism?
Magical realism. Sir, magical realism is a term in literature, and
Oh,
we
yeah,
can
it
say,
is.
yes, sir, Alice in the Wonderland or different let characters used to be a matter of fact that inclusion of fantastic or mythical, sir, we can say characters in that, and
Maybe
magic is
you need
used.
to lift this movement once
Reality
again.
is mixed. Reality is mixed with the magic, and that's all.
The last question is about surrealism. What is the definition of this movement, and can you mention the name of any writer who was associated with surrealism?
Sir, surrealism.
Yes, surrealism.
Mm, Sir, like surrealism was avant-garde movement. We can say it was invented by I cannot remember the writers of that period. I
Okay,
think Ezra
gentlemen,
Pound was it.
what are the spellings of schedule?
Schedule
Yes.
SCHEDULE.
What are the spellings of the cigarette and etiquettes?
Sir, etiquette is
Mm-hmm.
in a okay, sorry, EQUETT etiquette, and we can say cigarette CIGARETT cigarette.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Shafkat. It's time to share the things with you. Overall, the introductions from the very beginning, the introduction until the end of the interview, everything was fantabulous. You have covered and you have tried to answer all the questions, and each and everything was up to the mark. Yes, your grip on literature, your introduction on your hobbies, about your area, that's very good. And the amazing thing is that you have answered all the questions approximately up to the mark, but you need to work more and more on the literary movements, and this section is there. We will definitely continue commenting on the discussion, but we with us have Mohsin Riza Saki. Mohsin, welcome to the session. Mohsin का आज interview था and it went very well. Mohsin is one of our students. Mohsin, many congratulations for your interview. And please do unmute yourself and welcome formally Mohsin to the session.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
And Mohsin, I'm sure that आपने आज बहुत अच्छा आपका interview हुआ होगा. So would you like to share some words with us and the rest of the participants?
Sir, Alhamdulillah, interview was very good and it was a fantabulous experience of mine. Overall, Chairman, PPSC member Irfan Tarar was also over there, the chairman of the panel. I seek permission and he said, "We have a seat." And I was there. He asked about introduction. I completely introduced myself, my educational career, my educational achievements, about my job, about my passion for teaching. As I have already elected as excise inspector, I told them that I was selected as excise inspector, but my passion is to teach, not other anything. I'm teacher by my choice, not by my profession. And then he referred me to SS1. He asked me about class management questions, some type. How will you manage if there are more than 100 students in a class? I answered. Then he asked me about my favorite genre. I told him about a novel. And then he asked me about favorite writer. I told him that one of the greatest Victorian novelists who had been admired for his excellent characterization, superb imagination, impressive storytelling abilities, one of the greatest, Charles Dickens. He asked me about his novels, how many novels he has written. I told him that there are 15 novels written by Charles Dickens. He asked, how many novels have you read? I told him that I have read almost 10 to 12 novels of Charles Dickens. He asked about their names, but he was not interested in asking any more questions relevant to favorite genre. He turned to Shakespeare and asked, how many plays by Shakespeare have you read? I told almost summaries of all the Shakespearean dramas, but I told them that 10 to 12 plays I have read, line by line. And he asked some quotations from Hamlet, and I told the famous one, "Loki Toby are not to be," that's the question, and I explained it very briefly. Then he asked about Desdemona and Othello's character and their marriage mismanagement, and some other questions related to Othello. And then asked about Macbeth, Hamlet, we discussed King Lear, and then referred to me as SS2. He was also interested in drama. He didn't ask any question relating to my favorite genre.
Okay.
He told tell me how many witches were there in Macbeth. I told 3, and he said that some critics say that that there are 4 witches also. I agree at that time, maybe. And then he asked about Mousetrap in Hamlet, the play. I told them briefly. Then he asked about Canterbury Tales, the title of prologue to the Canterbury Tales. Then discussed Chaucer's age, its characterization, and Chaucer's date of birth, Chaucer's date of death, 14th century social norms and English history, St. Thomas Becket's history, his murder, on which date, and then asked about ideal characters presented by Chaucer. Then asked about the character of knight, parson, some religious characters, and then interrupted SS1, and he asked me about what is a suitable couple according to your views, and how the qualities of a successful marriage. I am still why he asked the question. Then he referred to chairman, and he asked me about my favorite hobbies. I told them that I love traveling, especially in northern areas. And he asked me how many areas have you visited, and I told him about all the areas I have visited. I told him about historical places that I visited in my last 2 to 3 years. And then he asked, you are from Jung, and here is a story from Jung. Is here a fantasy or a fact? I elaborated both fantasy and fact. And then he asked me to recite some verses from, I sang some verses from Here by Waris Shah. I told him that I haven't read Punjabi literature. Then he asked about Sultan Bahu's poetry. 2 to 3 verses I told him, but again, sorry, the sad story that I haven't learned about Punjabi poetry. Then he said, you may go now. Thanks so much. And that was about 20 to 25 minutes. And the very positive things I have noticed that they gave almost all the candidates 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay. So they have in detail analyzed the personalities.
They gave fully time to answer the question. They didn't interrupt either. You stop. They didn't stop.
Okay, all right. They listen all the answers very carefully whenever you are speaking.
Yes, sir.
Mohsin, it was a very wonderful interview, and I'm really happy that, mashallah, you have answered all the questions. And the thing is that 20 to 25 minutes been there. So if you answer some of the basic questions, I will be able to, predict your score, like your expected score. Moreover, the participants, in case you have any question, you are requested to type your questions in the chat box. In case you have any question that you want to ask from Mohsin Sir, you are requested to type your questions there. Okay, Mohsin Sir, first of all, when you went there in your center, interview center, what was the atmosphere there? Like the students, they were allowed to ask the questions once they leave the room, or they were strictly instructed to go, straight back to their homes, and they were not allowed to attend?
They were restricted, but not completely restricted. But the candidates were not interested to ask any question from the candidates who are interviewed already.
Okay, all right. The candidates, they were not interested in asking the questions. Okay, Mohsin, 2 questions are important here. The first one is that the opinion-based question about the marriage. So what was your answer? Because this question is very important, because at this point, he's trying to dig up in your personality, like you are introvert, are you, what sort of personality you are actually. So this question was asked just for the sake of inner view of your personality. So what was the answer that you shared with them?
Sir, I replied that successful marriage may be on some social equivalence, on some equal-minded persons, psychic chemistry matches. If their chemistry matches, they live. And then he said, if couples are made on heaven, then what we will do? Then I simply replied, compromise.
Okay, the compromise. I'm sure that they have enjoyed the answer of this question, the compromise. Okay, they burst into, not into tears, but definitely into laughter.
Yes.
Okay, so Mohsin, overall the introduction, from very introduction till the Charles Dickens and the novels and the things, they went very well. And the good thing is that I have already shared with the participant that they are not interested in your favorite genres, but still you are supposed to prepare your favorite genre.
Yes, sir. They were asking favorite genre from each and every interviewer. But they were not asking questions from the favorite genre.
Okay, all right. So
poetry, they are asking questions from novel or some other kind of genre. If you are interested in novel, they are asking poetry and from drama, etc. They were not interested in our favorite genre because they know that we may completely know about our favorite genre. Already interviewer are already well prepared about their favorite genre, so that they may be.
Okay. Mohsin, what was the answer of this question, the witches and the Macbeth, the four witches were there? You know about the weird sisters
they just
from the
simply asked
Macbeth.
the question, how many witches are in Macbeth? I replied 3. Then he said, some critics say that there are 4 witches. I said, it may be, but I am in the opinion of 3 witches.
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
second,
definitely there are the 3 ones.
And he also said that some critics are in the opinion that there are 4. And I said,
and
sir,
what was your answer about the class management question? Like if there are 100 students, so how you're going to manage the class?
I'm already managing more than 100 students in a classroom, as I have I've been teaching 9th and 10th classes, and in a section there are more than 100 students, and we can manage them by dividing them in groups and making group leaders, and if monitoring group leaders, then group leaders may monitor the other students of the class, and in this way we manage it very well.
Mohsin, what I can see is that they asked very basic questions. Even you are, mashallah, a very brilliant person, and I was expecting that they're going to dig up the more details, because I'm sure that you have covered approximately all the books that are the syllabus of every university here in Pakistan. So the overall interview is very well, and what I can expect is they will definitely rank you somewhere above 72, but they will, take you somewhere between 72 to 78. Okay, these are my predictions based on the things that you have shared with us. Okay, so in case you were able to answer the questions about Heer and Sultan Bahu, then most probably you are going to exceed even 78. Okay, the overall interview that you have shared, the experience, because the problem is just about the Punjabi literature, because literature, after all, it is literature, either if it is English literature or it's Urdu literature and Punjabi literature. बट आपने अपने CSS के सब्जेक्ट में नहीं पढ़ा था, वारिस शाह की हीर जो है वो बड़ी फेमस है, और वैसे तो हीर 5 लोगों ने लिखी थी, लेकिन वारिस शाह वाली काफी फेमस है. तो अगर इसके ऊपर भी मैंने अपने स्टूडेंट से रिक्वेस्ट करता होता हूँ, एक मूवी मौजूद है, अगर इस पर बात कर लेते तो ज्यादा अच्छा होता. बट ओवरऑल 72 और 78 इज समथिंग जो बहुत हाई स्कोर है, और ये आपको सिलेक्शन लाइन में इंशाल्लाह जो है वो जरूर लेके आएगी. So I'm sure that your journey is going to end with the preparations, and inshallah you will be there in HUD soon.
Inshallah.
So Mohsin, approximately 14 aspirants they are listening you. Any piece of suggestion, any piece of advice that you want to share?
Sir, yes sir.
I'm saying कि अभी 14-15 लोग आपको सुन रहे हैं, और बाद में आपको बहुत से लोग और भी सुनेंगे. रिकॉर्डेड सेशन है हमारा, तो आप कोई पीस ऑफ एडवाइस देना चाहें अपने फेलोज को और कुछ बताना चाहें जो अभी आपके ये करना था या ये नहीं करना था, ताकि इनको प्रॉब्लम ना हो इनके इंटरव्यू में?
Sir, just remember one thing. If they are not asking from favorite genre, don't be confused. Keep confidence in yourself. If you are confident, there is nothing going to be wrong with you.
Okay, Mohsin, did they ask you about your hobbies? Like, what are your hobbies?
Sir, I have told them that my hobbies are traveling, and I have told them that traveling historical places and northern area especially. I told them I visited Harappa, Taxila Museum, Katas Raj, Kevada Mines, and Sharda University, Azad Kashmir, Hunza, GB, Punjab Pass, Altet Fort, Baltet Fort, and all these things I had mentioned in my interview.
Very good, Mohsin, very good. I'm wishing you good luck being your mentor and being your elder brother. My best wishes are with you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Take care of yourself, Mohsin, and thank you so much for giving us your precious time. Okay, Ji. Mohsin was sharing his experience with us, respective participants. So thank you so much, Mohsin. So once again, Fatima, your question was about आपके जो दोस्त थे उनसे ये यस ऐसा मुमकिन है। अब उन्होंने जो 2-3 क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स दिए हैं, अब हमें वो देखने होंगे कि वो कैसे थे, ठीक है? अगर वो क्वेश्चन उन्होंने बड़े ढंग से दिए थे तो डेफिनेटली इट्स पॉसिबल। सो पार्टिसिपेंट्स, जैसा मोहसिन साहब भी अभी बता रहे थे, अभी शेयर कर रहे थे, तो आप जो हैं एक दफा फिर से मोहसिन साहब वाली चीजें जो हैं, बिकॉज अभी इंटरव्यूज में जो हमें भी इनसाइडर डिटेल्स हैं वो यही हैं कि दे आर इग्नोरिंग द वेरी क्वेश्चन अबाउट योर फेवरेट जॉनरा। आपने फेवरेट जॉनरा को अगर इसका ये मतलब हरगिज नहीं है कि आप प्रिपेयर नहीं करोगे, लेकिन अगर आप उन्हें अपने फेवरेट राइटर्स की तरफ लेके आना चाहें, जैसे मोहसिन साहब ने मेंशन किया कि दे आर इंटरेस्टेड इन ट्रैवलिंग, तो यहाँ पे आप शायद अपनी बुक रीडिंग को मेंशन कर सकते थे, ठीक है? यहाँ पे आप अपनी बुक रीडिंग को मेंशन करके उनको मोल्ड कर सकते थे। जैसे मोहसिन साहब ने चार्ल्स डिकेंस का बताया, मुमकिन है कि इन्होंने बैकअप के तौर पर एक और फेवरेट जॉनरा को, एक और फेवरेट राइटर को तैयार किया हो, ठीक है? तो आपको अगर उन्होंने पूछा हो कि इसमें इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है, किसी और से बात कर लेते हैं, तो शायद आप उसके बारे में बात करें। एक चीज किसी ने नोट की है, अभी मोहसिन साहब बात कर रहे थे, आपने एक चीज नोट की होगी, अगर किसी ने नोट की हो, क्या ये सारे के सारे क्वेश्चंस जो मैकबथ ओथेलो से पूछे गए, हैमलेट से पूछे गए, क्या ये जो क्वेश्चंस जो ड्रामा में विचेस के बारे में पूछे गए, जो माउस ट्रैप के बारे में पूछे गए, क्या ये हम सब के सब अपने इंटरव्यूज में कवर नहीं कर चुके? अगर आपको याद हो, जो हमने प्रीवियस इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस में देखा था विचेस के बारे में, इफ यू रिमेंबर ऑल द थिंग्स जो मैंने शेयर की थी आपके साथ जो है, इफ यू रिमेंबर, अगर आपको याद हो तो। सो कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं है जो इन क्लासेस से बाहर होगा, और इसका सिर्फ एक खास करम है अल्लाह ताला की ज़ात का कि वो ज़रूर नवाजती है, ये उसका एक खास करम रहा है और रहेगा इंशाअल्लाह, वरना ऐसी कोई खास बात नहीं है। एंड पे जी हमारे पास तो है गुलाम समदानी साहब का इंटरव्यू है। समदानी साहब, बिकॉज वी आर रनिंग शॉर्ट ऑफ द टाइम, अगर आप मुझे इजाज़त दें तो हम आपके इंटरव्यू की तरफ प्रोसीड फर्दर करें, बिकॉज आपका इंटरव्यू है शायद 4 को। समधानी साहब, यू रिक्वेस्टेड टू प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ, और हम ये इंटरव्यू जरा क्विकली वाइंड अप करेंगे, और हम जो हैं इसके बाद जो हैं कोशिश करेंगे कि आपको जल्दी से मैं मूवमेंट्स के नेम बोल दूंगा, इसकी रिकॉर्डिंग आज से सेशन शेयर हो जाएगी, कोशिश करेंगे, बट दैट डजंट मीन कि आप सेशन छोड़ के जो है वो सब बैठ जाएं, हो सकता है रिकॉर्डिंग ना शेयर हो और फिर बाद में आप जो है वो ढूंढते रहें, तो एंड तक रहिएगा। कुछ मूवमेंट्स हैं उनको जरूर प्रिपेयर कीजिएगा। शफकत हम जो है वो आंसर्स दे रहे थे, तो शफकत ओवरऑल आपका इंटरव्यू अच्छा था, मैं मार्क्स टोटल नहीं बता सका आपके। आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग कि विद दिस इंटरव्यू आप 68 से 72 के दरमियान रहेंगे, लेकिन अगर आप कुछ मूवमेंट्स को देख सकें, स्पेलिंग्स को देख सकें, एटीट्यूड्स के और जो दूसरे सिगरेट्स वगैरह के, तो फिर शायद एक बहुत अच्छा तासुर हो जाए। आप कहीं 78 के करीब थे इस लिस्ट में ना, लेकिन जब 2-3 बेसिक क्वेश्चंस जो हैं वो ड्रॉप हुए, वो खुसूसन स्पेलिंग्स के बारे में थे, तो इससे काफी डाउन हुआ, तो इसको जरा इम्प्रूव कर लीजिएगा। ओवरऑल इट वाज अ गुड इंटरव्यू। ओके जी, सो समधानी साहब इज देयर। समधानी साहब, वेलकम टू द सेशन। आप साहब के क्वेश्चंस को सुना होगा, एंजॉय किया होगा।
यस सर, यस सर।
ओके जी, टॉकिंग विद गुलाम Did your master's in English as a private candidate, if I'm not wrong. What is the reason why MA English and that too privately? Why not another degree? Why MA English?
Sir, was in my bachelor's, I studied from Sir Samuel Aldin he was from Government Mary College, Sialkot. His method of teaching and explaining the literature was very awesome. He so he was the person who inspired me to do masters in English.
Okay, so it means
And
that
I did it privately because I was in job, so I could not manage in the regular classes, so that's why I did it privately.
Okay, what is the history? This college is very famous, the Murray College, Chalcot. When for the very first time Murray College was founded? What is the exact year?
Sir, Murray College was founded in 1889. It is the oldest college in Sialkot.
Okay, fair enough. So Samdani sir, you have mentioned your job. What is your job? What do you do?
I am a secondary school educator in school education department, SSE.
Okay. You're already serving as an SSA and BPS 16. So why this job? You're not satisfied there?
Sir, Alhamdulillah, I am 100% satisfied. But I think a man should always try to grow. So that's why I am trying to at a better position.
You mean in school education department, there are no chances of growth?
So certainly there are chances, but I think that instead of waiting for 10 or 20 years for the promotion, a man should try himself so that he may get a chance.
Okay.
To grow.
So when you opted literature, what is the single message that literature has given you? What is the most fascinating line in English literature that has impressed you a lot? Any quotation?
Sir, I couldn't get your question. Please repeat.
You have completed your master's in English literature. So
yes, sir.
Overall from the literature, what is the favorite quotation that has impressed you a lot? Because you have completed your master. Is there any favorite quotation that you remember from the English literature, from your master's?
Yes, sir. I have many quotations, some quotations, but related to literature that have inspired me, or that is very, you can say, fascinating. I have not such quotation in my mind. However, I want to say one quotation from the play Macbeth. It is fear is foul and foul is fair.
Okay, all right. Gentlemen, what do you mean when we say something is written in the state of Denmark? What is the hidden message?
Sir, I think it was about the conspiracy that was being
what
done
is the name of your favorite
against
writer?
Hamlet.
What is the name of your favorite writer, Ghulam Sambhani?
Christopher Marlowe. I like Christopher Marlowe.
Dr. Faustus is a morality play, is it? Dr. Foster is a morality play.
Hello?
Yeah, Dr. Faustus
Yes,
is
sir.
a morality play.
Sorry, sir. Your voice is not clear.
Yeah, my question is that Dr. Faustus is a morality play or not?
Yes, sir. We can say that Dr. Faustus is a morality play because it deals with the themes of good and evil. So in some way we can say it is a morality play.
Okay, and what are those things that you are talking about?
Sir, as we see in Dr. Faustus that he wants to get the power, he wants to be powerful than any other thing in the world. So, and there are good angels, and there is good angel and evil angel. The good angel is prohibiting him from doing this, you can say, act with
What is
the Lucifer.
what is the definition of morality play?
So morality plays are the place in which with there is a struggle between the powers of good and evil,
Okay,
and there
when
are
you
also some
have you
uh, there are
have
characters
you
of
heard
virtues
about
and vices.
have you heard about moral stories in your life? What is the moral of this story?
Yes,
Have you
sir.
heard in your life that what is the moral of the story? So that
Yes, sir.
means those stories that are giving you a message, that is basically talking about the morality place. Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Yes, you have answered. You want to add something?
Morality plays are those plays in which the characters are some virtues and vices, and there is struggle between these characters. As we see in
Yes.
Dr. Foster's, there are 7 deadly
Inner
sins.
conflict is going on. Inner
Yes, sir.
conflict is there. Inner conflict is there. So
Definitely.
yes, it was basically characteristic of the Renaissance plays, that in Renaissance,
Yes.
whatever was happening, the heroes mostly they were facing the inner problem, the inner conflict was there. Okay, so Samdhani Sab, thank you so much for being with us. Overall, there are 3 things that I want you to improve. First is about your job. Please furthermore try to explore some more details, because whenever you're going to talk about SSE, they're going to ask you some question about school education department, and because you're already serving as an headmaster in an elementary school, so maybe the questions
Yes, sir.
will be about your enrollment and all those things that are related to your job. The second thing is that
Yes.
the grip or Marlowe is all right, it's fine, but it's not an excellent one. Try to explore some more details, learn some basic quotations and some details, like in case they're going to ask you to talk about what is morality play, what is inner conflict, the very basic things, and
Yes, sir.
some those techniques, like what are the literary devices has been implied by Marlowe in the Dr. Faustus. Overall, it's a very good interview, but once again, we are not going to exceed with like 65 till 68 with this sort of interview. I think you need to improve more and more. The maximum work should be on fluency and the introduction, and the rest of the things should be done with the Marlowe and all those things. Okay, so these are the expected results,
correct.
but I'm sure that you are inshallah going to improve these 2 things. So you have your interview tomorrow,
Inshallah.
now?
No, my
At
interview
7.
on 7th. Yes.
Okay, I'm sure that you have enough time. You're going to improve all the things.
Yes.
Okay, so participants, the recording of today's session will be shared, but please listen all the things. Try to explore absurd literature, or literature of the absurd. There was a movement in the theater. इसको देख लीजिएगा. Aestheticism को देख लीजिएगा. ब्लूम्सबरी ग्रुप को देख लीजिएगा. मैं जल्दी से बोल रहा हूँ ताकि रिकॉर्डेड में रहे और आप इसको देख भी सकें बाद में. डैडिज्म को देख लीजिएगा, जो शफकत से क्वेश्चन था. एज ऑफ इनलाइटनमेंट से क्या मुराद है, इसको देख लीजिएगा. मुख्तलिफ इराज को देख लीजिएगा. एलिज़ाबेथन एज से क्या मुराद है. इसी तरह से हार्लेम रेनेसांस जो है, इस मूवमेंट से क्या मुराद है. लॉस्ट जनरेशन से क्या मुराद है. मैजिकल रियलिज्म से क्या मुराद है. मॉडर्निज्म, पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म, नेचुरलिज्म, न्यू क्लासिकल जो है वो लिटरेचर, इसमें हमारे पास क्या है. न्यू क्लासिसिज्म से क्या मुराद है. इसके अलावा जो है वो हमारे पास पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म से लिटरेचर से क्या मुराद है. प्री रफेल्ट कौन से थे. रोमांटिसिज्म क्या थी. सरियलिज्म क्या थी. सिंबलिज्म क्या थी. ट्रांसेंडेंटलिस्ट क्या थे. और ये तमाम के तमाम मूवमेंट्स को जरा ढंग से देख लीजिएगा. इसके हवाले से कोई भी क्वेश्चन हो वो कल की क्लास में पूछा जा सकता है, बिकॉज वी आर डन विद टुडेज टाइम और हम काफी टाइम ऊपर ले चुके हैं. सो ये चीजें आप जरूर एक्सप्लोर कर लीजिएगा. So participants, take care of yourself, and I'm sure you have learned a lot many things in today's interview. We're going to have a wonderful session tomorrow. Till then, take care of yourself. Khuda Hafiz.